Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Community Difference in Plano, Texas. We've got a great show for you. Angela Powell with the Plano ISD Board of Trustees is back on with us. She's been a great friend of the show. Going to give us an update on what's coming up in 2023 in Plano ISD, new teachers, principals. There's some bond issues for election, possibly. What's the latest updates on our school safety, all kinds of things that you as a Plano resident, parent, student are going to want to watch and stick around for. Also, if you're getting ready to come to those retirement years, man, Social Security can be a beast to navigate. We've got Greg Matthews here, a guest of our co-host, Katie Owen, the insurance gal. They're going to navigate that, give you all the information you need to be able to tackle that difficult time as you make that transition into your retirement years. Also, if public school is not your thing, you want to look at the homeschool route, Sherry McFadden's going to talk about her experience running some co-ops, being part of some co-ops, and what some options are for you right here in Plano, Texas. All that, huge show. Stick around on the Community Difference Plano.
Tune in to watch our communities grow. See how our citizens, local governments, churches, small businesses, schools, and our local sports teams are coming together and partnering to make the difference. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Community Difference, Plano, Texas, with your host, Nathan Smith, and powered by the Difference live stream radio and podcast. So if you love your community and you love supporting the folks and businesses that make your community so special, then we invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to our pages, and then tune into each show to experience the community difference.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Community Difference Plano, Texas. I'm your host, Nathan Smith. I am more than excited to be here with you this afternoon. We are coming up from my home office, maybe here for a few weeks. We are on baby watch. We've had fake labor for the last 2 weeks. I know that's a weird thing to say. I'll probably get in trouble for my wife. But I guess false alarm labor, maybe that's the right word. There's an actual word, but I don't remember what it is. And I should know that, but I don't. Anyways, so we're really feeling like this is the week. So we're going to be working from here, not only with my business, but the podcast. So it is great to be with you, as I mentioned. Lots of things going on. We got a packed show today, so we definitely want to get things pretty quickly. As always, I want to check in with Lyndon, the godfather, the host of all things of difference. Lyndon, how are you doing today?
I am good. Enjoying the show. I am excited about all the things we're going to be talking about on the show today. So good job with the lineup today. Good job to Katie with what she's doing as your co-host, because I know that helps you out a lot. So we really appreciate her.
I love a co-host. We're looking forward to adding some more co-hosts and the other weeks of the month here coming up pretty soon. I know that you were kind of hacking up a lung in the pre-show. With
I'm
allergies.
Better.
That's good. You sound better. A lot of people are struggling. I've got I am just this inner ear thing, and I've been struggling with this for like a year, where it's not like allergies, but it's like somehow the pressure in my ear is not right. I don't know what the deal is, but I'll just like get real dizzy. Probably have vertigo. I don't know, like that Cary Grant movie. If you're young, if you're not old, you probably don't know that reference, but sorry. Anyways, you should watch.
I don't know about the movie. I know who he is, but I don't know.
You've never watched Vertigo? Isn't that Cary Grant? Am I crazy? Somebody has to tell me if I'm wrong. Lyndon, I expect you know these things, so.
I don't know that.
Never mind. We're not here to talk about movies from the 50s and 60s. But nevertheless, I know a couple people are just clamoring, waiting for some cooler weather, and hopefully we can, deliver that here in a couple of months. The exciting thing is, it is the first preseason game, Cowboys, the other night. Did you get a chance to watch that at all?
I did, and it's funny you mention it, because I'm going to give a quick plug. We are getting ready to start the very first sports talk show on The Difference. So it's going to be hot sports opinions, and boy, do I have one about how bad the Cowboys looked the other night. But I'm going to save it. But, yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. I just can't figure out how you can be a professional and have that many penalties.
I will say, and I don't know how many penalties, but this happens every year. I always convince myself that the year the Cowboys won their first Super Bowl in the 90s, I believe they lost all 4 preseason games. So I tell myself, well, that's okay. But it hasn't worked out in the last 25 years. So it probably won't work out again this year. So, well, that's exciting. Now, tell us when is that going to launch? who's hosting the show, a little more details about
Brian Poduska's hosting the show. He's been a show host. He's been with us, The Difference, since day one. He's been a real good supporter and partner with us. And he's done a show that was actually the #1 show for over a year running on The Difference but it was more business talk. And business talk is fun if you're a business person. But if you're not, it can be really kind of boring and give you a tired head. And Brian is he's from Chicago. How do you say that? Chicagoan or whatever? But he's from
Chicagoan.
I don't know.
Chicagoite? I don't know.
Maybe. Big Cubs fan and Bears fan, and he's into hockey. So we got to talking the other day, and he goes, "Man, I think it'd be a great transition for us to do that." And I said, "I've been wanting to do it," and so we teased it out. We're getting such a good positive response, and we're still going to incorporate some business, because what we're going to be doing is bringing business owners on to talk about sports. Because, and so we can get a little bit of banter going back and forth and hopefully not get beat up too bad if you're a Cowboys fan.
I did not know that he wasn't a Cowboys fan. I still respect him, but it's just dropped a little bit, like just a tiny bit. But we can talk about that
we've
later.
Not given him a lot lately. Of course, the Chicago Bears, I don't know if that's his team or not, but they're not doing much better than the Cowboys. So, I mean,
no,
I don't think we can.
They've won 2 Super Bowls ever. So, anyways, we could go on. We could go on sports talk on this show for a long time. We're not going to do that, but we're going to jump right in, guys. Thanks, Lyndon. We got a great show for you today. We got a lot to get to, so we're going to kind of break into our guest a little bit earlier. So, a great friend of the show. She's been on. I think this is her 3rd or 4th time. Miss Angela Powell, one of the Plano ISD Board of Trustees or school board members. Welcome to the show again. Thank you so much for coming on with us. How are you doing? How was your summer? What's new with you? Just kind of catch us up personally for first question, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nathan, for having me on the show today. And Community Difference is a great avenue for information. So I'm happy to be here. And how was my summer? My summer was hot. And
Everybody's summer. Still hot, by the way. It's not over. Hot. It's still got another month, unfortunately.
I did get a chance to go to Gun Barrel City to try out this Cedar Creek Lake, which is only an hour and a half away from.
Yeah, I know right where that is. That's not far at all.
No, there's only 6,000 people in that population over there. So this is this really amazing. Small town. In a small town like that, they had a bingo alley, and they also had maybe a few restaurants there, and they had a gallery there. So I went to all of them. They also had
like an Airbnb, or is it kind of a resort area, or what is it? Camping?
It's a retirement area.
Really?
So you do have a lot of rental homes there. So I stayed at someone's lake house, and there's a lot of rentals out there.
Well, we're going to have Sherry McFadden on the show later, not to talk about what she normally does. She's a travel advisor, the best around. But you might want to jot that place down, Sherry, because that could be a nice little local getaway for some people like myself that want to just get away for Sherry was supposed to give it. She worked herself to death trying to find us a getaway, and then it just got too close to baby time. So I'm supposed to tell her. I know she's listening in the off stage here, that my wife and I are going to try to do something for our 5th anniversary, which is in November. So maybe we can start looking in that direction. Well, so that's good. You go out there with the whole family, or did you leave the kids behind, or how?
No, the whole family went.
Okay.
They went canoeing on the lake, and you can have a boat out there. And they went kayaking on the lake. It's very small, nice, very quiet lake.
Well, we've got a lot to get to. We may not get to all of it, which is a good thing. That means there's a lot happening in Plano. I want to start off with, you guys meet as a school board, I think, every other week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it's on
twice a month.
Twice a month. Okay. So you met on the 2nd. You meet again tonight, I believe, 6 o'clock, correct?
Yes.
And those, they're all different kinds of agendas. They're all on the Plano ISD school board website. You can get the agenda. You can watch the whole thing. You can skip to the parts that you're interested in. You don't have to watch. It's very well organized. Links to everything will take you right to whatever topic you want to talk about, which is pretty cool. But there's a lot of changes in terms of new principals, teachers, et cetera. A couple of things that are really exciting coming down in 2022-23 school year. Talk about those for a second, if you will.
Well, the main thing is we had a new superintendent for this year. So that is a big step. So we have a new superintendent, and we also have a new assistant superintendent, which is our superintendent now is Teresa Williams. And then we have our new assistant superintendent, which is Linda Davis. And then we also have 7 new principals, which is going to affect our summer schools. So the schools that we have, I'm going to mention them quickly, is that Armstrong Middle School has a new principal. His name is John Tefford, and he was a former assistant principal at Clark High School. And then another middle school, Frankfurt Middle School, has Katie Britton, and she was a former principal at Rose Haggard Elementary School. And then we have 4 elementary principals at Houston Elementary School, Hickey Elementary School, Matthews Elementary School, and Hager Elementary School.
Now, are these changes, and you don't have to go into great detail, like, if somebody was let go or something like that, we don't need to blast them on online here, but was it just somebody stepped down or retired, or a positive change needed to be made, or just kind of a mix of all of those?
There was some retirement and some promotions.
Okay, awesome. So what do you think overall, and I know it's hard to speak from every individual principal, but just the short time, because I think it was back in May when Teresa was announced as the new superintendent. What are some things that you're noticing even over the summer, or that you're excited that she may bring and implement as changes that are going to be positive for Plano ISD?
Well, definitely our school is going to be more safe now because we've implemented more safety protocols, which we will discuss later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a moment. That's awesome. What else?
Yes, we're going to talk about that later. And then the changes we're going to do is that would impact our schools would probably be the new bond that we've discussed on August the 2nd, because we're going to move into renovating our schools and improving our playgrounds, which is going to be very big coming up.
Well, I want to talk about that after we're going to have our first break here in about 3 minutes, and I want to kind of go into a little more detail about that. So just table that for just a second, if you don't mind. What are some ways, because I'm sitting there. I was planning on actually going to the school board meeting. Fortunately, I was able to watch it online, and I was really fascinated. I mean, it's a long meeting, even as a school board person. I'm sure there's times you're like, man, 4.5 hours is a long time. But there's a lot of great stuff in there that people really need to know. And we've talked about this with you before. We've talked about it with Shelby Williams, one of our city councilmen, that being involved at the local level is so important. I mean, Linda, was it? I can't remember. It was on Linda and I had a Zoom call as we were earlier today, kind of working on trying to launch another show in another city as well. And the gentleman we were talking with was like, we spend so much time caring about, things that we have less impact in, usually like national politics and things like that. We spend all of our energy where we have the least impact. Right. And we can vote, and that's important. That's a good thing. But where the rubber meets the road, where our property taxes are affected, our kids' education is affected, we don't have as much involvement or much concern until, maybe something happens that we really disagree with or something. We don't track that process along the way. And so what are some recommendations that you would have to help parents get more involved and just be aware of things that are happening, ways that they can let their voice, their opinions be known? What would you suggest in that way?
I have two recommendations. Well, the first one is to go into Parent Portal and then to volunteer, to register to volunteer through Wally, which is a Volunteer Now application. And then also the second way to volunteer is to go to our website, which is www.pisd.edu, and go under the tab Board Citizen Advisory Committees. Now, we do have committees for parents to volunteer in, and they would have to apply online. There's a link in that tab. So when you go to our website and then you go into that little tab that has Board Citizen Advisory Committees, you can click onto the link and then apply in the application to be in one of our school district committees. Now, we have currently 4 committees that they can apply to.
What did you said? Wally is WALLY, or is that an acronym?
VOLY, Wally. So it's actually a Volunteer Now app that you can.
Volley. Okay, got it.
Volley. So it's an app that you can go on through Parent Portal. Yes, that's it. And then you can go through Parent Portal and Plano ISD website, and then apply to volunteer in your schools, local schools that your children go to, or you can apply to go on to help at a district level, which is the Board Advisory Committee.
And you guys also have, is the Parent Portal the same as I know you guys have a actual app. I've got it on my phone here. Is that the same thing, or is that a different means of communication? The app that's in the App Store.
The app is in the App Store, which we parents can download Plano ISD app, and parents and also students can have the app. And I think in the app, I'm in the app right now, and it has our calendar, directory, resources, YouTube. I have the app as a parent, so you can't go on the app, but I think going on the website would be a lot better, easier maybe for parents.
Okay.
So that you can click onto the Parent Portal, or you can also click onto the tab for the Board Advisory Committees.
Awesome. Well, we're going to hit our first break here. We'll be right back with Angela Powell. A lot more content, a lot more questions. Stick around on the Community Difference Plano.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses.
Are you in the market for a new or used car or truck? Then contact Derek Wallets at Sam Pack's 5-Star Ford in Carrollton, Texas today. With Derek's 20-plus years of experience in automobile sales consulting and Sam Pack's 42 years of exceptional service in the DFW community, you will quickly understand what it means to experience the Sam Pack difference. So give Derek and Sam Pack 5-Star Ford a call today at 972-299-0028 or email him at dwallets@sampack.com.
WeatherTech General Contracting. We make your home renovation dreams a reality.
Metroplex Delivery is DFW's premier restaurant delivery service. Metroplex Delivery brings premium restaurant food right to your door. Metroplex Delivery offers uncompromising white glove treatment. Launching in McKinney and Allen. Give Metroplex Delivery a call at 469-505-0844 or online at www.metroplex.delivery. And by
Alan Lester, branch manager and team lead for the One Group, a branch of Town Square Mortgage. With over 22 years in the mortgage lending industry, Allen and Town Square Mortgage have many loan program options available from conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, and many investor and self-employed programs. So if you're looking for the best in the business, give Allen a call at 214-681-0234.
If you would like to know how you and your business can sponsor this show or others like it, please contact us at info@thedifferenceradio.com. And now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Community Difference Plano. We're here with Angela Powell, great friend of the show, Plano ISD Board of Trustees. Before the break, we kind of teased a couple different things. One is the bond issue that is going to be voted on, I believe tonight, you said, to determine if it's going to be on the November 8th election. Talk about what that is, what's on the bond, the benefits, et cetera, how it's going to be broken out, if you would, and give people I know we can kind of get overwhelmed with bond talk. That's not really a table conversation that most people entertain, but every election, there's something that's on there that we've got to vote on, and having that information is obviously very important. So if you take a moment to break that down for us, if you don't mind.
Oh, yes, but I have to make a correction. First, I said a name for our assistant superintendent, our deputy. So sorry,
that's
my
okay.
fault. So Lisa Wilson is our new deputy superintendent of teaching, learning, and life readiness. So that's a new title for the district, and she is our new deputy superintendent of that.
Well, I'm sure I know she'll be glad you got her name right. So that's good. Awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
That's my mistake.
Let's talk about the bond for a second. Break it down, the necessity, the details, what it all entails, et cetera, and just give us kind of an overarching view so we can make a good informed decision come November, if it actually makes it to the vote.
Okay, so tonight is on our agenda is that the board is going to anticipate conducting a hearing, adopting a tax rate, and calling for the voter-approved tax rate election. So that's going to be discussed tonight. And first of all, I want to show. Here we go.
There
Can you
you
see
go.
it now?
I can.
Is the numbers right? Can you see it?
I can. Yes.
Okay. So this is a proposed tax rates. And so we will be, I think we're going to be voting on the information tonight. And so if you notice our actual of 2021 to 22 compared to proposed 22, 23. And so our total was for last year is $1.32 and 0.75. And this year we're proposing 1.25975. So there's a little difference for this year. And then considering the bond that we're going to discuss about, we did have our preliminary bond meeting discussion openly in our board meeting on August the 2nd. And in our conclusion, we had noted that Plano ISD has a 69 positive and then a 12% negative image for our survey that we passed out, which says that, there is a coalition between the people who responded to our survey that they support our bond. So we will have our bond would be split into 4 divisions. So it would be the general bond, technology bond, the event center bond, and the stadium bond, which will add
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
$1.4 billion.
So will it be like all of those will be voted on to be on the November election, and people can choose to strike down either one of them, or only some of them may actually make it? Some of those 4 will actually make it to the November if any of them are approved. Is it like an all or none kind of thing, or how does that work?
It'd be 4 individual bonds.
Okay, so totally separate.
Tonight is the vote, so I can't really tell you until the vote happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be tuned into that. Any idea? Like, is it gonna be towards the end? Like, where in the agenda is that kind of stuff usually take place?
Towards the end.
Towards the end. Okay.
The voting is towards the end. Mm-hmm. Because usually there's a discussion before voting.
Right. So, guys, check out the Plano ISD School Board website. They do a great job of broadcasting those meetings. Obviously, you can go and just attend them in person if you want to, but very important stuff. Just looking at some of the proposals from the different the technology side, looking at the renovations that need to be made to the various athletic complexes and stadiums. A lot of stuff that's very important from an education, athletic, technology standpoint. So I think it's going to be really cool. But again, we just kind of, and I'm guilty of this, you just kind of like, oh, this bond, okay, that sounds good. I'll go yes for that. And we don't, because we're busy people, right? We don't take the time to try and investigate. And so we want to try to give you a little more insight, at least some resources of where to go dive deeper. And they've made it really simple for you. And that's, of course, why we love having Angela on the show for that and for a number of reasons. So next, the one of the items that was voted on was the approval for a safety and security audit performed by a specific company, a third-party company that come in and do a security audit of, I guess, the entire district. Is that every school? Or
yes.
Tell me how that process will work, and when will it actually start, that audit?
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to say is that we are all heartbroken by the tragedy in Uvalde and the pain and the loss that families in there are, adored. Our district is and our board are always looking for ways to improve safety, secure, and welcoming spaces for our students, staffs, and families. And we have taken measures over the summer to reevaluate our schools. And we are going to do a deep dive. So the deep dive that got approved on August 2nd is to have a security audit done by PBK. PBK is our consultants for safety and security for the school district. And they will perform a site-by-site safety and security audit on all our facilities and then documenting the findings for future use.
So at that point, I assume what their findings are, then they'll come back and say, "Hey, this is our recommendation," and then you guys will put that before the board and vote on specific dollar amounts being allocated if necessary for whatnot. Do you know when the audit? I guess it's going to take some time to go through every school. Obviously, you know when that process is going to start.
Yes, they're starting right now, but it's going to be a 3 to 4 month audit.
Okay,
so it's not a quick. It's not an audit because the thing is that you don't want to go in and put something in where it's not needed.
Sure.
So we want to identify the threats and the concerns based on established best practices and make the recommendations. So, we don't want to go spend a lot of money in something that isn't going to improve the situation.
Yeah, I think if it was, I think people would be concerned if it wasn't a lengthy audit, because if it was just like a week and a half, they'd be like, well, that didn't seem very diligent. So I think it's good to know. I know that's a process that was kind of kept close to the vest for a little while in terms of making sure that was the right decision. And then of course, approving that this past, I guess 2 weeks ago from today. So that's definitely a good thing. I don't want to say exciting because it's a tragic thing but it's exciting that Plano ISD is taking that as seriously as they are, because I know that makes families and parents and whatnot, feel like they're taking every step possible to ensure the safety of their kids. And that's obviously a very important thing. Do you guys look at other school districts that may have different policies and different, just way they operate in terms of that and garner certain things, and how is this working? Is that not working? When you try to make some policies in terms of safety or I guess really any policies for that instance.
Okay. See, our district is currently evaluating our current emergency operations plan,
Okay.
EOP, and individual campus emergency plans too. So we just hired the director of emergency management and safe schools. So I'm going to get her name right this time. Her name is Mandy Murphy.
Awesome.
So, so she is our new director of emergency management and safe schools. And she will coordinate.
Is that a new position?
Yes,
okay,
it is.
You created that position. Okay, awesome.
Over the summer, we created this position because there was a need for it. And so we did that. And, this is a serious, department, safety and security is a serious department for our school district. And we take everything in, as needed, and she was needed, and she will help direct and coordinate state mandated safety and security audits for the campuses. And, she will follow other compliance, such as the Senate Bill 11 requirements. So there are new requirements that we have to, undertake now.
That every school district has to shore up and make sure that they're adhering to, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Because I didn't talk to you about this. So if you don't have, I don't expect you to have a bill memorized, obviously, but are there any highlights from that bill that you can say, here's some things that across the board that bill specified? And if you don't have it in front of you, that's fine. But I think that would just be some good information here as we go into our next break in just a moment.
I think that the district now has to do the requirements for safety and security, that they have to conduct an assessment of their access control procedures.
So the audit is part of that, basically.
Yes,
part of the requirement. Okay.
And then we have to, you have to check on your single access points, lock instruction room doors, visitor check-in procedures, exterior door locks. I think all these efforts had to be completed by September 1st, which is coming up very soon. And it was issued by Governor Greg Abbott and the Texas School Safety Center. And we have to do it before September 1st.
Okay. Well, we're about up against our next break. I thank you so much for being on, Angela. I want to ask you one last question. As a parent and a school board member and a citizen of Plano, what are you most looking forward to this year, 2022 school year? What are you excited about the most?
We are having a transition. I think that we're transitioning, into a more of a, we're updating, transition to a more modern school district.
Okay.
Because remember, we have 72 schools that need renovations, which
My
is the
gosh.
bond's going to focus on. Yes, and the thing is that we need major renovations for Williams High School, major renovation for Vines High School, and then Plano Senior High School. All our facilities right now needs updates, so which we're working on, and which is going to be on the bond. And the thing is that we have a lot of needs, like transportation. Our buses have needs. But I definitely looking forward to our changes that's coming up. And
So you're excited about bringing Plano ISD into the 21st century a little bit. That's an exciting thing.
exactly.
Sure. Okay,
But
awesome.
but there's one thing I like for you,
Sure.
that I can note to your community that watches this,
Sure.
is that we do have we had over the summer job fair for our cafeteria facilities and then for our bus transportation.
Okay.
So if any parent or anyone out there that's thinking about joining Plano ISD and they're considering about becoming a bus driver, to visit our website.
Okay. So some opportunities there for people just looking for, or either extra work or just a way to make some money and also be a vital part of the Plano ISD community too at the same time. So, well, that's awesome. So everything is on the website. As always, Angela, I appreciate you. We love to have you on every couple months at least, because there's always something new, something exciting, something important happening. And we want to get it straight from you guys and not have to try to discern the truth. We want to hear it straight from the board. And thank you so much. If you'll stick around, I want to have a couple conversations with you after the show, but we're going to hit our middle break here, guys. As soon as we get back, we're going to introduce Katie, the insurance gal, our co-host today. She's got a great guest on. Stay.
Tired of that north of the border seasoning? Thinking there's got to be more than just salt and pepper to flavor your steak? Your brother-in-law yapping that he's the grill master? Here's your solution. Goodness Steak Seasoning. It's a blend of 9 unique herbs and spices that'll have your mouth saying, goodness. What was once just for steak night for the family is now being enjoyed by thousands of families across the USA. Grab a bottle or two today at Ham's Meat Market off the square in McKinney, Profound Foods in Fairview, and at bringthetasty.com.
Welcome back to the Community Difference in Plano. Again, thank you so much to Angela Powell. Great information. I love being able to just dissect and understand exactly what's going on in our school districts, what's coming down the pipeline here for the next few months and for the great school year that we have ahead of us. It is the third Tuesday. Is that right? Yeah, it is, obviously. Third Tuesday of the month. On the third Tuesday, we have a wonderful friend of ours and co-host, the insurance gal, Miss Katie Owen. Katie, good afternoon. How are you doing today? I love the painting behind you. It's always so nice and makes me want to go visit there, even though it's a painting. But how are you today?
Hey, Nathan, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Now you have been, we networked together, so that's how we met. And you've been just super busy this summer traveling. And I think you were out last week. Or was that vacation or business related? Where have you been lately?
Well, I went to visit my parents in California. I'm very blessed that they are still living and they're in their 80s. And
how are they doing?
They're doing wonderful. We had
Good.
Such a great time, and my siblings came out, and it was just the nuclear family, the 5 of us that started way back when. In fact, this morning, we restaged a photo that we took 43 years ago. And so we did our best to wear the same clothing, went to the same location and restaged it. And that was so much fun.
You'll have to send me that because I would love to see that. That's so
Definitely.
Cool. Was it outdoors?
It was outdoors.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Well, we'll get right in. I know you've got a great guest here, Mr. Gregory Matthews. I'll let you introduce him. And really interesting topic that has a lot to do with obviously what you do in your line of work with Medicare, but also for all of our senior communities around Plano. Very exciting to talk about the do's and don'ts, rights and wrongs of Social Security when you adopt it, how to adopt it, et cetera. So I'm going to let you take over and introduce Gregory here today.
Thank you so much. So one of the things I like to do in my business when I am looking for new people is to ask for personal referrals, because I just think you're going to get a higher caliber person. And so I asked my CPA if she would be so kind to refer somebody who focuses on Social Security, since I serve the senior community with Medicare. I knew those questions would come up and I knew I wanted a resource. And so it was my CPA that referred me to Gregory Matthews of Matthews Financial. And I'm very excited to have him on today and to share with the audience how he can help people who have questions about Social Security.
Hey, Katie, how you doing?
Welcome, Gregory. So good to see you. I'm doing wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
So I grew up pretty much in this area. My family moved up here in 1980. I moved to Carrollton. I've grown up in Carrollton for the majority of my life. Went to high school, junior high, high school. Went to the University of North Texas. Played football up there. I'm a Mean Greener, so go Mean Green. While I was working at the University of North Texas, I was going to school there is when I started working in the industry. So I was working part-time for my dad's company, and literally graduated on a Sunday and was on my first business trip on Tuesday. And I've been in the industry ever since. And it's kind of been an interesting transition since I've been in the industry. Or, after you acquire the licenses and the certifications, you start realizing that there's a lot of special fields that you can kind of look into. And originally I started off in IRA distribution planning, which was a very confusing subject, especially in the 90s. And of course, they made the new rules now even more confusing. If you follow that. But in addition to that, as my client base grew, I started realizing there was a part of my practice that I didn't know a lot about. And it was really important. And that was in the area of Social Security. So one good thing that came out of the pandemic was I had a little bit of extra time on my hands. And so I decided that I was going to learn as much as I could about Social Security. And I wound up getting something that you see as the NSSA, which is the National Social Security Advisor Certificate. So I went through their program and learned as much as I could about Social Security, which is what I'm using today with my clients.
I love it. So, and thank you for sharing that. As a Medicare specialist, I'm not a Social Security specialist, and I don't even want to pretend to be one. So when my clients start asking me questions about Social Security, I love referring them to Greg, because I know that they're going to get the right answers. I'm referring them to somebody who spent a lot of time studying this and even has this certification. So when I refer my clients to you, what are some of the questions that they ask you?
Yeah, so I would say probably the first and maybe the most important question that we get right now is why is Social Security so important? And I'm gonna put my glasses on here because I'm getting older. But why is Social Security so important? And I think the major thing I tell everybody, Social Security is so important because it is a vital puzzle piece in retirement income planning. And without income, there is no retirement. And people need, you have to come to that realization that the average person right now, Social Security represents roughly 40% of their income in retirement. You multiply that by maybe a 30-year retirement, and you see how important Social Security becomes. And so with the older generation, it maybe wasn't that big of a question. They reached a certain age, they were eligible for it, they filed the benefit, and then they just went on about their business. This younger generation, the baby boom generation, they want to study, they want to learn, they want to know how to maximize, they want to know how this is going to affect something else. And so it's really important to understand how Social Security planning really fits in an overall retirement income plan. And I'd probably say, another question that we get, maybe second most, is, will Social Security be there for me? So many people have heard about the Social Security solvency issues. And I think it's really important to understand where Social Security is at now and how that might affect you in the future. So the latest trustees report for Social Security came out in June. And that trustees report, which looks forward about 75 years into the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund, said that we're going to exhaust the benefits or not be able to pay benefits fully starting in 2035, which is interesting enough. That was about a year. We actually gained a year. It was 2034 at that point. But here's the kicker is that if Congress does nothing, which this seems to be that third rail that nobody wants to touch, if Congress does nothing, then at 2035, Social Security is only going to be able to pay out roughly 80% of the promised benefits. So, that's a one side over there. And Congress is going to have to eventually do something, or if not, there's going to be a lot of planning that's going to have to take place. So from our perspective, we kind of grouped this from a planning wise into three levels, three areas. So you've got those that are taking Social Security right now. They don't really have anything to worry about. I don't think they'll kind of be grandfathered into any sort of thing that takes place. So they're going to be fine. Then you have that group that's maybe 5 to 10 years away from retirement. And that group, as you're doing some sort of retirement planning or income planning, you might want to look at some reductions, and at least making sure that if you did get a 10 or 15% reduction in your benefits, that it's not going to affect your ability to retire or your ability to stay retired. And then that third area that's out there is that group that's maybe 10 years plus to retirement. And as we're doing planning with that group, really we're making plans for benefits to be lower. And so we're taking that 100% benefit that they're showing now, running it at 80% and seeing when they can or can't retire. If it's better than that, fantastic. But I'd rather be safe than sorry in that situation. So that's probably the second question that we talk about with our clients. And the third one is a universal question, and that is, how do I maximize my benefits? Everybody wants to make sure that they get every single dime, penny out of that program that they put in. They want to get it out. So how do they maximize their benefits? And the first thing I would say is that you need a well-orchestrated plan. It's not a decision that you take lightly, because it's too important of a decision and it lasts too long. So as you go into that, have a well-orchestrated plan. And the phrase we use around here is that claiming decisions are like financial fingerprints. They're different for every single person. And you wouldn't believe how many times you hear somebody come and say, my boss said do this, my brother said do this, my sister said do that. And they could be in a completely different situation. So we want to look at a couple of avenues, and probably the most important is life expectancy. And I know a lot of people don't think about that, but life expectancy may determine whether you have a 15-year benefit or if you're on benefits for 30 plus years. So you need to look at somebody's life expectancy. You want to look at areas such as, are they married? Are you single? Are you divorced? Are you trying to get survivor benefits? All of these different things can play a role in when you decide to claim.
I have a question, if you don't mind, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of started to say, as you get, maybe 50, 55, you're 10 to 15 years out, you start assuming that the rate is going to be lower in terms of the percentage that they're going to get of what they originally thought. What's the and then, no, it's not a precise science, but what's the cutoff age where, hey, if you're 45, we're going to plan your retirement as if there's no Social Security? Like what age is that?
Yeah, me personally, now it's funny because a lot of the retirement planning tools will allow you to just take Social Security completely out of the equation if you want to plan without Social Security. I still think Social Security is going to be there. It's going to be in some different format. If you look at some of the suggestions that Congress maybe has been making on how to fix Social Security, and matter of fact, there was another one that just came out yesterday. But a lot of these are talking about either extending the time out into the future in which you can collect benefits. They're talking about maybe increasing the payroll tax, the tax rate, the wage base, and so making that higher. So they're looking at different ways to make sure that Social Security is still there. They're not necessarily looking at ways in which they can eliminate the program altogether. So I think it's a client by client decision. We do have some clients in which when we do planning, they say, hey, let's plan without Social Security. Let's see what it looks like. And then let's do a plan with Social Security. And then normally I'll suggest, let's do something in the middle because I think it's going to be there in some format. So.
Well, that's awesome. And I know that, for our Plano community, we have a wide range of senior communities and assisted living facilities, but also just people across the city that are getting to that age or starting to ask those questions. And so I know they appreciate that information and the individual perspectives that you kind of go with each client, what they want to do, what's best for them based on their age as they're planning. Same type of approach that Katie takes. So we're going to hit our last break. And Gregory, I thank you so much for jumping on with us. Lennon, if you want to pop up his scroll one more time here. If you want to get in contact with Gregory, have those questions, or obviously you can connect through Katie, our awesome insurance gal. But again, we appreciate your time. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Greg, for jumping on the show today. We're going to hit our last break. We'll come back with Sherry McFadden, and we'll wrap up the show. So stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses.
Real property management focus. An unmatched level of service to property owners, investors, and tenants throughout the DFW Metroplex.
Katie Owen, the insurance gal, helps overwhelmed Medicare-eligible people successfully navigate the enrollment process. When turning 65, retiring, and signing up for Medicare for the first time, it can be confusing. So it's important to get guidance from someone you can trust. Katie helps her clients navigate the enrollment process in a way that eliminates the feeling of being overwhelmed and unsure and leaves her clients feeling relieved and confident. If you have questions about the Medicare process and want advice from someone you can trust, reach out to Katie at 972-943-3943 or at her website, www.insgal.com.
When you need a trusted roofing company on your side to help you out with storm damage repair for your roof, call Cook DFW Roofing. Serving Anna, Melissa, Princeton, Prosper, Van Alstyne, and all of the DFW area.
Red Branch Realty and owner realtor Ashley Gentry are true champions at every level. As a top producer, Ashley Gentry and Red Branch Realty truly embody their mission of being your supporter and partner in your personal real estate journey. So if finding the best representation possible in achieving the American dream of homeownership is important to you, give Ashley a call at 972-342-1869.
For more information about our sponsors and their services, or if you would like information on how you and your business can partner with or sponsor this show, or others like it, just check the show description or comments for the relevant links and contact information. And now back to the show.
All righty, welcome back here on the Community Difference Plano. We are going to transition to our last guest. Excited to have Miss Sherry McFadden back on the show. Sherry, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hey, Nathan, I'm doing great.
Great to have you. Now, you came on about a week and a half, that's weird. We're not shows on Friday. About 3 weeks ago to talk about your real passion, which is you're a travel advisor, one of the best in the industry. Live, Love, Travel, I believe is what it's through. And I hope you heard my desire to find a cool place to go in November around the 5th. So just write that down.
I have it written down. I'm ready.
Perfect. So, but we're here to talk to you today about something different. So you're actually a big homeschool advocate. You have been a part of different homeschool co-ops, parts of some in Plano, parts of some in other Collin County areas. Talk about, and because a lot of good school districts in the area. Obviously, Plano ISD, a great school district. Also, a lot of not good school districts in the area. We won't name those. But how did you decide that homeschool was kind of the right path for you? Because I know a lot of people are, a lot of Plano parents, some people just want that autonomy. They want that ability to kind of take control over some things, but they're like, they don't know if they can do it. Because I think people just don't realize how large homeschool has grown. So before you tell us that, talk us how was it the decision to be made for you guys that this was the path that you wanted to go down?
Well, for me personally, I'm on my 20th year of homeschooling, so it's been quite a long journey, and it wasn't something that I set out to do. But my oldest daughter was about to go into kindergarten, and I realized that she was already reading and counting, and she was bored at her little preschool. And I was like, what am I going to do? She's going to be completely bored in kindergarten. And I just happened to meet somebody that said, have you ever heard of homeschooling? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And so for me personally, I said, I'm going to try it for kindergarten, see how it goes. It was a fabulous year. We loved it. We loved the flexibility. My daughters got closer together as siblings, and we just continued year after year. And so every year we reevaluated, evaluated, and every year we decided we would continue.
That's awesome. So how did you say they were in preschool when they started?
Well, no, she was going into kindergarten. So she was
Okay.
turning 5. Yeah.
Okay. So there's obviously, and this is nothing, obviously not a knock on public school, but it's when you have that, I guess, 1-on-1 or 1-on-3, depending on how many kids you're homeschooling, there is a little bit more of customization and intention being able to give it to certain children. Do you find that you move through the quote unquote grade levels more quickly as a homeschool parent or as a homeschooler?
Personally, I did not. None of my kids, I would say, were geniuses. Although I do have friends who have kids that are just so bright. Reading. They're 8 years old and reading Harry Potter. But my kids weren't that way. We actually did normal school years, and we worked through our curriculum just like you would at school. But like you said, my kids were getting 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 attention. So our school day was always faster. I didn't have, you don't have a whole bunch of other kids to worry about or help. So our school days were always way faster, and we never had homework because we finished it during the day. So our evenings were always free.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So schoolwork is homework technically because you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, we would have our lesson and they would do their classwork. And then if they needed additional help, they would go ahead and do the additional work. So there wasn't anything left over for the evening to do. We just made sure that whatever things that if they were struggling with it, we would just work more on it and have extra problems on what they were struggling with. So again, that you're looking at the individual help. Like I could see that my daughter was struggling with, counting money when she was in 2nd grade. So I was able to really focus in on that and do more practice just in that one area versus, she was adding and subtracting with no problem.
Okay, that's very cool. So for the longest time when I was growing up, and I'm just going to be real level with you here, homeschool, they were the weird kids, right? And that's so not true because homeschool has come a long ways, and I should be ashamed for making judgments. That was not very nice. And I knew kids were homeschooled; they weren't weird at all. But
Right.
But homeschool has become such a large group co-op, et cetera. Now, you actually ran a co-op for a long time.
I have.
Our homeschool organization.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about what led you to that decision. How did you get involved in that and the benefits that you found from doing that?
Yeah. So I have actually homeschooled in 3 states, Louisiana, California, and Texas. I started my first co-op in Louisiana just because we didn't have one in our area. This was almost 20 years ago. And it was where a bunch of families came together, and we created a co-op where we had classes 1 day a week, and it could be enrichment classes. It could be core classes. Generally, it was parent volunteers. We have some brilliant parents out there that are homeschooling. I mean, I had a United Airline pilot. We've had doctors. We've had nurses. Speech therapists. I mean, so we have some brilliant homeschool parents that were willing to step in and teach our students all different classes. Co-op was always my kids' favorite day of the week. So we would show up, they get to see their friends, but they also got enrichment classes and classes that they would not necessarily get to do at home, or we would do classes that would be more fun in a group, like science classes, doing science experiments. So that was, co-ops are huge. And just to make a comment on the weird homeschoolers are mainstream now. And if anything, if COVID did nothing at all, it accelerated the homeschool movement. I mean, it has grown by leaps and bounds. Just
now there's like sporting, there's sports, there's proms, there's, pretty much everything you can get.
It's huge.
And it's just,
yeah. And I want to say, Texas, honestly, like I said, I've homeschooled in 3 states. Texas is by far one of the biggest homeschooling states in the country. And they have so much to offer. Like you were mentioning, the sports, they have HSAA here, which is in the North Texas area. So it's Homeschool Athletic Association. They offer football, track, volleyball, cheer, golf, basketball, baseball. So, I know that's one of the fears of some of the parents are like, oh, I want my kid to play sports. Well, he can or she can. There's that opportunity is here in Texas, which I did not have that in California or Louisiana. So, and like you said, also there's proms, there's dances, there's all, Christmas parties and all those parties that you would
normally
get
have
at school that you think your kids are going to miss out on.
Yeah.
They won't.
So last question here. So for Plano residents that are looking for maybe exploring that avenue, what are some Plano organizations, homeschool organizations, and what are some questions or things to think through as they're determining which co-op they want to be a part of or which organization, et cetera?
Yeah. So one of the ones I had joined when I first moved here was one that's called PEACH, and that stands for Plano Education Association for Christian Home Education. So that was a Christian group, PEACH, P-E-A-C-H. But I will say there are a ton of secular groups out there, religious groups. There's inclusive, there's mom support groups, park groups, chess groups. I mean, homes, anything you could want that your child's interested in, you could find that. A great resource is Facebook. If you just go plug in Plano Homeschool, you're going to get some groups for sure. There's a really big one called Homeschool Friends of North Texas. And it has over 12,000 members just on that Facebook page. And that's a great resource as well.
So what in evaluating, is it more just, like you would anything else, just find which group kind of matches your values, your direction, things like that, and just make sure you're diligent in terms of figuring out, are they going to provide if sports is important, is this group going to involve that? Or, my values, is this a religious organization or not? Things, just kind of the standard things you would want to ask when you're looking at any organization that you're partnering with.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say every group that I've been a member of has a website. So you're going to be able to go on there and garner a lot of information, see who they are, what they're about, and then just go check it out. I personally, when I first moved here, because I didn't know anybody, I joined 5 groups, and then awesome. I visited. I know, and because I wanted to find like who are my people, and who are my kids going to connect with, and I visited all 5, and then was able to determine, oh yeah, this is the one that fits me.
So you said PEACH, P-A-C-H is a great one to check out in Plano. There's a ton of different ones. P-E-A-C-H. Plano PEACH. Education Association with Christian Homeschool. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
But there's I mean, not in Plano, but there's Reach, and there's March, and there's Theo that has classes, which is really close to Plano. It might be technically in Plano. There's so many resources.
If you're looking to maybe go down that route, if you've got the preschool kids, or maybe you're thinking that might be for you, I know Sherry would love to lend you some of her experience and resources. She'd also like to book you a trip where you can think about while you're determining which co-op to go with, maybe go by the beach, sip some Mai Tais, really think through it, just figure out the nice, the decision you want to go while not having a lot of pressure on you. She'd love to help you out with that as well. So thank you so much, Sherry, for jumping on today. Again, thank you to Katie, the insurance gal, our third Tuesday co-host. As a matter of fact, Katie's has a new show spotlight. We're doing spotlights now for a lot of our contributors, our sponsors, etc. It's going to be on the Difference Saturday Small Business Showcase. You'll want to check that out on the Facebook, the Difference page. You're going to check. Basically, you get to know Katie, her story a little bit more. I think it's about 20 minutes long showcase. So if you like Katie, which if you don't like Katie, something's wrong with you. But you'll get to know Katie a little bit more, her passion, how she got into what she's doing. I think these showcases, as we start launching more of them, we're going to be really, really cool, really eye-opening. Thanks again to Angela Powell. Awesome job. We love having you on the show. Thank you to Greg Matthews, Sherry McFadden. That is the show today, guys. Have a blessed day. We will see you next week. And there may be a baby. We'll see. I don't know, but I'll let you know for sure. Have a blessed week. Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.
Thank you for tuning into The Community Difference. If you enjoyed the show, take something you learned and apply it in your community or your business in order to make the difference for someone else. Remember, the smallest change begins with a single action, but a single action can make all the difference. A special thank you to today's amazing guests. Also, if you'd like to be on the show to share your unique story and how it made the difference in your community, please contact Lendon Wilson at lendonw@thedifferenceradio.com. Until next time, this has been The Community Difference in Plano, Texas, hosted by Nathan Smith.